Hi, this is the second episode I'm recording today. This cover art is a meme. I, I'm sorry. I originally was gonna draw Mike and Midnight, but I was like, do I really want to draw humans right now? And spend possibly 45 minutes dicking around with human proportions because Midnight needs those to be kinda accurate? Nah. Ooh, the cat was put into jail. Let's do that. So, we got a criminal here. That's just the context to this. I do want to say I had a little fun, and I turned the numbers into a symbol puzzle. Yeah. Um, I love puzzles. I love dumb puzzles, even if nobody tries. I just wanted to inform you, because if you do figure it out, type it in the comments. Anyway, this is chapter 10 of Black Cats Are Bad Luck and So Are You, Kid, by Holly. Eventually, Izuku's mother had to leave. It sucked, but he meowed until its teacher came back in. Meow! Meow! And took the computer. Izuku butted its head against the man's arm as he picked up his computer. The man chuckled softly and picked him up. I think Sushi has calmed down, but I'll put him in the bathroom tonight to be safe. Izuku nodded and relaxed against the man's arm. All he wanted was a nap, even though he had one not an hour ago. So when his teacher set him on a pillow and walked away, he laid on his side and closed his eyes, falling asleep. Azawa came back from locking Hizashi's white and tabby shit in the bathroom, who was now pawing under the door desperately. He walked into the bedroom and shut the door, sighing as he did, the yowling being quieted. Meow! The man turned around to address his student, but saw the boy was asleep, sprawled out on his pillow, small mouth slightly agape. He sighed and shook his head fondly, walking over to him and sitting down on the bed beside him. He reached for his computer to do some work, though once he opened it, his mind blanked. The case of the group that attacked them did not make him want to work on it. Having worked on this case non-stop over the past few days looking for the kid he now knew was safe and sound beside him, and the stress of it over, it made him rather want to kill himself than continue looking through the boring-ass online forums to find slivers of information on the group that was mostly imprisoned. He shut the laptop and put it back where it was, laying down on his bed, careful not to lay his head onto the boy-turned-cat on his pillow. He quietly groaned in his exhaustion and closed his eyes, relieving his pounding headache and dry eyes. Though he felt something move and soft fur move against his face. He cracked open his eye and looked over to see dark fur curled up against his face, slowly moving up and down with a small breath. He huffed in amusement and reached up to gently pet the cat. While it felt a little odd to be doing this with a student, especially one with enough blackmail against him, he couldn't resist petting a cat, especially one so cuddly with him. He yawned and closed his eyes again, soft purrs slowly building beside his ear. He smiled softly and reached over to turn off his bedside lamp, casting the room into darkness and helping the two within the room drift off to sleep. Hizashi slowly opened the door to his and his husband's apartment and walked inside, carrying a few bags of grocery with Namuri behind him, carrying her own load. She had taken it upon herself to haul all that he couldn't bring up herself, because Mama didn't raise no two-trip bitch, apparently. In either case, They both set their bags onto the counter, and the woman audibly announced her relief as she released weight upon her arm. God, those bags are heavy! What did you buy? Nothing too heavy. You just took all of it. My mama didn't raise no two-trip bitch. Your mother would be appalled if she knew you used that kind of language. She already is. I'm a pro hero. An R-rated one. She don't give a shit about that. It's all sexism, bitch. You need therapy. I don't need to pay someone to tell me I'm delusional. I get told that for free by news websites all the time. And my mother. But my trauma was a gift from my mother, and I don't get rid of gifts from her, as they are rarer than gold. Which isn't that rare. I'm still technically right. The man rolled his eyes and began putting the groceries away. The woman laid her head on the counter and sat on the bar stool. He began taking everything out of their bags, setting them on the counter to be put away, and throwing the bags into the bin under their sink. Once everything was set out, he began to put anything cold away. The woman groaned and looked up at him, head leaning on her arm. He ignored her and kept putting away his groceries. She rapped on the counter. He kept doing his chores. She eventually stood and walked over to him, sitting on the counter beside where he was working. But he just moved around her. He kept ignoring her pestering until she stole the butter, holding it above her. Pay attention to me. He sighed and reached up and took it from her hands. No. And walked away from the squawking to Murray. Traitor! Suffer! She cried out and flopped backwards onto the counter. Betrayal of the highest kind. I allow you to fornicate with my little brother, and this is how you repay me. He gave her an unimpressed glare and threw a cooking book at her. The point landed on her stomach, and she grunted, clutching her stomach and rolling on her side as he continued to put away his groceries. He finished and stood over the woman, suffering on his countertops. You done? She weakly lifted her hand and sighed and reached to take it, but it turned into a middle finger as she rasped out, Fuck you. He sighed and picked her up. She yelped and began to writhe, but he held strong and deposited her out of his home. She landed with an oof onto their welcome mat, and he began closing the door. Bye, bitch. She laughed and looked up at him. Bye, abuser. He shut the door on her and heard her laughing. He locked it for safety and walked back into his home. He made sure everything was put away and walked into the living area to see if his husband was laying on the couch. But he wasn't there. He raised an eyebrow and began searching the apartment for him. He walked into the hall and saw a white paw sticking out from under it, reaching for anything. He walked over and released his cat from his tile prison. What did you do? He said down to the cat, arms on his hips. The cat meowed up at him innocently. Meow. And weaved through his legs. He sighed and picked the little shit up. I know you did something. The cat purred and bumped his head into his chin. He chuckled softly and pet the small animal's head. The beast purred happily and continued pushing his head on any part of Sazashi that came close. I'll be sure to ask your crimes when I find your jailer. The cat meowed and wiggled out of his arms. Meow, meow, running towards the bedroom. The door was closed and the cat began to paw at it. The man sighed and shook his head fondly before he followed him and opened the door just a crack to see his husband on the bed, with the small black fluffy mass by his head. He cooed and picked up the small tabby menace, trying to worm his way in, and shut the door, knowing his husband needed his rest from a long and stressful events of this week. And that if the man could sleep now, then it was best not to bother the insomniac or his ward. He walked back into the living room with a writhing tabby menace and sat on the couch, pulling out his phone. He had gotten messages from his husband. Curious, he opened them and began to read through them. They read, Hubby, 6:47. Your cat is a bastard. 6:47. He's attacking my student. 6:51. He's been locked in the bathroom for his crimes. Don't let him out. 7:14. Meeting went well. Same plan as before. He's coming with us and we have to take care of him. But if the kids are just training, he's staying with Nezu. 7:28. Taking a nap. He felt bad for not seeing the messages, but he was glad the plan was solidified. He looked at the fluffy gremlin on his lap and glared at it. You asshole. The little shit meowed. Meow. Meow. Jail time. The cat ran away as soon as he reached for it and hid. Zashi sighed and lay back on the couch, giving up. He was pissed. The fucker had been missing for 2 days, and no one had told him anything. He wanted to punch something and send it to hell. He grit his teeth and took a few deep breaths, his hands tightening into fists. There was a knock at his door, and his mother came in. Child? He glared at her from the darkness of his room. What do you want, hag? She held up the phone. His mother called. They found him. Bakugo sat up quicker than he had ever set off an explosion. This is the end of chapter 10 of Black Cats Are Bad Luck and So Are You, Kid. Can I just say I had a stroke saying some words today? This is not anyone's fault other than my own. Okay. And I'm just gonna say it. I love this author's works. I I don't know how many works Holly actually excuse me. How many works that Holly Am I gonna sneeze again? No? Okay. I don't know how many works that Holly actually has. Actually, let me go check. Holly has 8 MHA works. I've only read a few of them, but I love them. I'm not crazy about romance though, so I this fic just kind of caught my attention fully. What do you expect? I like cats. Why do you think most of the thumbnails have been having Izuku in them, even though there are other scenes to draw? Anyway, enough of my rambles. Bye!